Every family has its own unique chemistry. And here you see that chemistry on display between Zayd radiallahu anhu and the sister Salha-ra stepping forward to defend the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Muslims in a very diplomatic way.
Yeah.
That they have honor, they have this, that, they've done nothing wrong, they have high morals. No, you have no right to harm them. And especially you have no right to harm Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Sometimes the loudest confrontation happens not in the streets but around a family fire or the family table. In this episode, we meet Umar ibn al-Khattab, not yet Muslim, radiallahu anh, but already in turmoil, deep turmoil, I would say. This is that iconic scene that, again, all of us grow up hearing, listening to, hopefully talking about. This is where Umar radiallahu anh is now witnessing the city unravel. Society is completely being reshaped, and his own moral compass is spinning in multiple directions. When he decides that he may need to kill the Prophet ﷺ to save order, it's not an enemy who stops him, it's his own brother and sister. There is a lot to unpack here about the internal struggle that Umar radiallahu anh is facing. I'm Sajjad. I'm here on the Criterion Concepts Seerah podcast with Assad Koshul, the founder and lead facilitator. Together we're going to explore this very significant episode. Assad, you mind taking us through basic narrative that's being set up here? It's basically a crisis and a confrontation.
Yes, Bismillah. Okay, thank you very much, Azad. So here what we have is, it's Umar, and he's not radiallahu anhu yet, with Zayd radiallahu anhu and his sister Salha radiallahu anhu. And what's happening here is, he is reflecting on the beating that was given to Abdullah ibn Masud radiallahu anhu in public, because he was reciting verses from the Quran. And Abu Jahl is enraged and starts beating him in public. And what's happening here is Umar is trying to reconcile his personal values and the values which the Quraysh espoused to uphold, and the political situation and societal turbulence in Mecca now. Because now Umar radiallahu anhu is not a torturer, but he does beat. And he doesn't beat, he beats people in the Adi clan, his own clan, Adi clan. But he's trying to think of this. He sees that when Muslims are attacked, they're patient, and they persevere, and that's honorable. And he says, among the Muslims, the weak have become strong, because at this point, Abu Bakr radiallahu has purchased Bilal radiallahu and set him free. Right? And he says that those who are strong or of high status within the Muslims, they have compassion for the weaker ones.
Right.
And he says, among the Quraysh, the strong are unjust to the weak, and the weak that are there, they're just always trying to maneuver for their own personal gain and benefit.
Right.
And he says, among the Muslims, the strong help and support the weak, and all are equal.
Right.
And he sees this as very noble. And he does ask this question. It's an intellectual question. He said, a society in which there's a totem pole, there's a hierarchy. Can that society ever really be great? He says, can such a society make progress? So he's thinking about this because he sees how noble the values of Islam are, right? And then he's asked by his brother Zayd, well, you beat people too.
Right.
And this is where he does have a somewhat accurate response. He says, look, I beat people, first of all, only underneath my authority.
Right.
And he says, two, I don't only beat the weak people in the clan. I beat even the influential people.
And, yeah.
Exactly. So he's an equal opportunity beater.
I was going to you took the words out of my mouth. I was literally going to say he's an equal opportunity beater.
Exactly.
He's got the whole thing rationalized.
Exactly.
So
because he's not like them, just torturing the slaves.
Right.
And murder, right?
Which is very off-putting to him. I mean, it
exactly.
really is.
That's
he's very, very he's incensed, basically, incensed that this is happening in his society.
Exactly. Right. And now he thinks out loud, and he sees the values of the Muslims, and he sees that they persevere, that they have good manners, they have a code of conduct, they support each other. He sees that. And then he sees Quraysh, that people are generally motivated by self-preservation and self-interest. He sees this dichotomy. And now what is very important to him? Societal harmony. And he wants Mecca to go back to where there was stability, because there's so much political and social turbulence now within the society, because people, now you have the first martyrs in Islam. Okay? And like even this of Abu Bakr buying slaves and setting them free is damaging to the Quraysh even. It's damaging to their brand. It's damaging, it's against the social order. It is against the social order to purchase a slave during his correction.
Yes, correct.
See, so here he says, okay, maybe the solution to this process, to all of this, is that I go and kill Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then I go turn myself into the Hashim clan as collateral.
And then they take my life.
They take my life, a life for a life, because that is the code.
Sure.
And this way, society can be saved. And so now again, Umar-ra's strength of characters on display. He is willing to sacrifice his own life for what? Not for himself, for the society.
What he considers the truth.
What he considers to be the values that are sacred in that society.
Right.
So I'll give my life for this.
Right.
But now Zayd radiallahu anhu says, wait a second. And he challenges him. And Zayd is the older brother.
Right.
And it's very interesting because Zayd is not as dynamic, but he does come into Islam first.
Right.
And he really also chastises Umar when he sees Umar beating people in the Adi clan. He does it. He says, wait a second. You are saying you want to go kill this man. By your own admission, his followers have high morals.
Right.
By his own admission. And then also the sister steps in. He says, how dare you think of harming someone who hasn't even said a word against you,
right,
or even thrown a pebble against you? So you see, so they're stepping and they're intervening.
Right.
And they're like, no, you have no right to murder this man. He hasn't committed a capital offense.
Right.
He hasn't broken laws, and he hasn't even harmed you. He hasn't even said a word against you. He hasn't even thrown a pebble against you.
Right.
What right you have to take his life?
Right. Well, in fact, we know that the Prophet ﷺ was actually praying for Umar
to come into Islam.
To come into Islam, exactly.
So this is a very interesting thing, because what you see here is the relationship and dynamic between Umar and Zayd and his sister. That's something that has, needs a little bit of attention, because the family is tight. And early, what happens is there's a time that Umar wants to go into business, and his father says, no way, I'm not going to give you money to go into business.
Right.
And Zayd, his brother, gives him money to go into business.
Correct. I remember that scene very early.
Exactly. And basically, Umar says that there are two people in Mecca.
Now there are two people.
Now there are two people in Mecca. There's the Muslims and there's the rest of us.
Right.
And keep in mind, this has tremendous implications for a tribal society. And the Sahaba's ability to maintain so much discipline and composure and good morals doing public beatings is having an impact on society. And this is very obvious, because you see Umar is trying to internally reconcile, because he sees this firsthand. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the most honorable, and all of his followers have high character. He sees that the Quraysh are not as honorable, and he sees that they position for gain among themselves. And then the torture is bringing the lesson home,
right,
that these are honorable people. But he's trying to balance two conflicting things.
And I mean, the way the scene plays out, I remember, he's having this very intense moment reflecting on those good qualities of the Muslims, but then he very quickly sort of flips to the other side, where then he's like, but this person, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, has created so much discord and so much. So he recognizes all their good qualities, but then it all comes down to, well, they're kind of really messing up with a good thing that we had.
Yeah. The pre-Islamic social structure.
Right. And there's nothing necessarily inherently good about Umar radiallahu anh at that time, going and beating up on people.
Yes.
But, that's kind of the way society works, right? And so, because it worked for him, it was okay, right? Because,
Yes.
that's kind of how things are.
Yeah, exactly. And what's happening here is the ability of the Sahaba and Sahabiya to maintain such discipline and composure to these meetings is having an impact on society, on general society, and it's giving Muslims a higher moral ground.
And I think, again,
And
significant...
it's swaying public opinion.
Swaying public opinion, and I was just, I wanted to point out again for everybody, we again see that there's a woman here who steps forward and says, you need to think about this again, and what you're thinking is not right. So she actually introduces or reinforces, the moral element, right? So there's a lot of moral courage that comes out in that dialogue, in that exchange, and we know, of course, what happens subsequently. Well, I'm sure we'll cover that. So this idea of two people, right? It's effectively the first time now where we have, I guess, an admission, it's an acknowledgement that there are two now very different streams in society, and basically Umar radiallahu anh, later, he basically says, I need to take care of this and we need to be one people again.
Yes, exactly. So for them, the overriding principle is social stability and preservation of the social system and political system and economic system as exist. That's the overriding principle here. So he's not happy that Muslims have been mistreated, but he's unhappy with the social disorder that's now prevalent in society. And he realizes this also opens a door for the Quraysh being weakened. And if they, because the Quraysh do have historical enemies, right? It's not the Quraysh have always controlled the Kaaba. Right?
Sure.
And he realized, okay, if this continues and we have discord within it, then a third actor can come and can displace us.
Sure.
Physically.
Sure. So maybe a couple of quick things to focus on as we close out. Was the disruption moral or political?
It was both, right? Because people are in conflict with themselves, right? Look, I can't reconcile the injustice that's done to people who have not broken any rules or laws.
Right.
But I don't like the fact that the society has been destabilized.
Right.
So these are two things. I don't want people mistreated, but I also want society to be stable.
Right. And this discord is quite...
Yeah, it's just not within society, but it's within individuals. See, Umar says it. He says, I recognize that these people have patience, they have high character, they help each other, they have noble qualities.
Right.
I recognize that. But it's because of them that society's also destabilized.
Right. Anything else that you want to maybe highlight here in the scene or in this episode?
Yeah. Well, one thing here is that every family has its own very unique chemistry. And here you see the chemistry, right?
Interesting.
Even though Umar radiallahu anhu is the strongest of his siblings, physically, he's the one. Even here at Dar al-Nadwa, it's Umar who represents the Adi clan at Dar al-Nadwa, not his older brother Zayd.
Right.
He says, listen, you're more qualified, you're more capable, go ahead. Right? But it's his birthright, right? Because he's the older brother to go. If the father doesn't go, the older brother should be going.
Well, and in the scene that we're talking about here, the brother, when he confronts Umar radiallahu anh, he actually says, I'm older than you and I have the right to tell you,
to caution you now.
Exactly.
He says, but I've given you preference because you have qualities that are admirable, right? So that's a thing we should keep in mind, that every family has its own very unique chemistry.
Right.
And here you see the chemistry in display, because Zayd radiallahu anhu and the sister Salha-ra radiallahu anha have come into Islam.
Right.
Umar doesn't know it yet.
Right, they don't know. Yeah, well, he doesn't.
He doesn't know it yet.
They have not disclosed that.
They haven't disclosed that. So you see how, even when he says, I heard Ibn Masud, Ibn Masud was writing the Quran. She said, well, did you hear it?
Right. She almost gives herself away.
Exactly. And he says, no, I didn't hear it. I just saw from a distance that Abu Jahl was beating him, and I didn't like that. Right. But he knows. But he also kind of knows that Ibn Masud brought it upon himself for going in public and deliberately reciting the Quran right in front of Abu Jahl at the Kaaba. Right. And so that's the thing. And here, Umar is a very thinking person, and I think this is why what we learned in Sunday school. Umar took his sword and was going to go murder the Prophet. Then he he met someone on the way, and then he had an entire. We understand this, right? But he's a very thinking person, and like this snap type of conversion, right? I'm not sure if it's that simple, right? Because you can see he's really thinking about, how do I safeguard society? How do I but still stand for justice? And even his thinking about his intentionality to kill the Prophet is what? It's not because he dislikes the Prophet. It's not because he has anything against the Prophet.
It's just because of what he's done to society.
It's that society's been destabilized. And again, we should not forget the second part. I'm going to go murder him.
And then I'm going
to turn myself in. And then that would mean that the Hisham clan would not have to engage in retribution.
Yeah, the Banu Hashim would not have to do that because I've turned myself in. Yeah.
Exactly. He's a conflictor himself. But you see, he's an intellectually honest person. He's not changing the rules as he goes along. And that's also, so when we look at the Sahaba, even very early on, we see like they have these noble characteristics. Umar is not making up the rules like this. He's not doing what some of the others people are doing, like Umayyah and Abu Jahl, in which they're beating even only the low class people. So this is also something that we should think about. Like every family has its own unique chemistry, and here you see that chemistry on display between Zayd radiallahu anhu and the sister Salha-ra stepping forward to defend the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Muslims in a very diplomatic way.
Yeah.
That they have honor, they have this, that, they've done nothing wrong, they have high morals. No, you have no right to harm them. And especially you have no right to harm Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Right. So Umar radiallahu anh thought he needed to act in that moment, fast, decisively, even violently, to save his society. But to your point, it took one moment, basically just these voices from the people who loved him, right? His brother and his sister, to remind him you can't kill the truth just because it makes you feel uncomfortable.
Exactly.
You have to be fair. And that's when things sort of start to begin to turn. So here's the reflection that we'll leave today's session with. When the people closest to you hold up a mirror, do you flinch or do you choose to see? And we have to be able to let those moments happen. And I'm sure they happen to all of us, where somebody close to us points out a contradiction, an inconsistency, or just maybe something that we're doing wrong. Join us next time. In the meantime, think over that reflection. Assad, thank you so much. And inshallah, we'll meet you for the next one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.